Welcome to Proteo Conversations, the podcast where leadership in business and accounting isn't just discussed, it's explored. I'm your host, Zane Stevens, and thank you for joining me as we delve into the minds of some of the most influential leaders in the industry. Our journey is one of discovery, from unraveling the unique stories that shaped our guests' careers to the invaluable advice that fueled their success. We are here to provide you with simple, actionable advice to accelerate your career and personal growth. Whether you're building professional or a seasoned executive, these conversations are designed to offer insights and perspectives that resonate with everyone. So tune in, engage, and be inspired as we build better leaders together. Welcome to Proteo Conversations. Today we're with Josh Sterling. Josh has, as you can see on the screen, a bunch of different titles, which is amazing. But he is a wealth strategist at Camas. Josh is a chartered life underwriter. The CLU is the oldest designation in the financial industry and focuses on life insurance, estate, and business owner planning. He's also an accredited estate planner, a certified long-term care consultant, and a certified college funding specialist, and a partner at Camas Advice. He is a past president of the Redwood Empire Estate Planning Council and founding member of the North Bay Trusted Business Advisor. As a holistic wealth strategist, Josh is an expert in solving all your problems in business, estate, high net worth, and high income earning individuals face. Whether it be in life insurance planning, retirement planning, tax reduction strategies, charitable planning, long-term care, estate planning, college funding, or transitioning out of business, Josh can provide honest and straightforward solutions tailored to your circumstances. As you can get from that, the whole world of managing money is very complex, and it is always helpful to have somebody in your corner that actually understands these things. And I know for a fact, based from my interactions with Josh, as well as the great feedback that I get from other people that work with Josh, he is a true trusted advisor and somebody everybody can rely on. So Josh, welcome to Proteo Conversations.
Thank you, Zane. Yeah, glad to be here.
Those are a lot of different acronyms and different societies, and I know it's a hell of a lot of hard work to get there, but I know it makes a difference to your clients. So, before we even get into who you are and what you are, just give us a quick rundown on all of those great credentialing that you have.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, the CLU, the Chartered Life Underwriter, it's basically the CFP designation for life insurance planning. So it's the oldest designation that's around. Lets everyone know that I have a specialty in life insurance and advanced planning strategies. Accredited estate planner. I do estate planning and help clients, transfer their wealth. Certified exit planning in businesses that are looking to exit. Certified long-term care, pretty self-explanatory, work in long-term care. And the first designation I ever got, 20 years ago, was a certified college funding specialist. So yeah, lots of letters, but I think it just shows that I'm big on education and making sure that I can serve my clients in specific areas.
Yeah, it's always very impressive, and I know a lot goes into just maintaining those credentialings.
CE, lots of CE.
That's a job in itself, just maintaining all of them, right?
Sure, yeah, of course, yeah. It's a lot of work.
But you are this wealth strategist, but let's start with that this is actually a second career, and your journey started somewhere else.
Yeah. So I have probably an abnormal pathway or journey to get here. I started actually in college. I played collegiate soccer, but I was studying physical therapy. And I got my degree actually in pre-physical therapy. But my last year, I got highly involved in soccer, and I started to coach soccer. Then I started to direct a soccer club. Then I started my own business. I had 25 independent contractors back then working for me that were coaches, and we assigned to a club. So I sort of went from a soccer coach to a director to then running a business as a soccer director. And it was at that point I realized, you know what, I have a pretty good thing going. I sort of got turned off on physical therapy. I still really liked it, but I thought I was going to be working with Jerry Rice and, Ronnie Lott and, these awesome, athletes. And when I went and did my internship, it was a lot of elderly people that, weren't ready to try to get back on the field, So it was a different experience for me. And at that time, with all the stuff going on soccer, I was doing very well, running a seven figure company. I actually talked to the school, and like my whole last year project was actually developing a soccer club. So I was highly involved in soccer. Got about halfway through my master's degree, even on business development, how to run a soccer program. And I did that, was working with top players across the country, was running a club locally, had a bunch of people working for me. And then I had kids. And as you know, that changes your life. So while I was having kids, I, was traveling around a lot. I was coaching other people's kids. I was helping other kids get into college and spending too much time, in my opinion, early on away from my family. And so I was thinking, like, what else could I do?
Mm-hmm.
I came across an old time friend of mine that I'm currently working with, Dan Ott, and we'd always talked about, like, well, how can we do something together? He's like, well, maybe you can like do a 401k for, he's in finance, 401k or something. And we never really came across anything. And then we started talking about college funding, and the other business partner, Joe Goss, was looking into how does college funding work as a service in the financial industries. And I'll tell you, there's only one thing that people care about more than money, and that's their kids. And college is expensive. It was when I started, and it's even more expensive now. I have a senior. But so anyways, I left soccer and started an entire college planning department and company with the help of the guys I just mentioned, and started helping people figure out, how do we afford college, and and then some recruiting stuff for sports. But at the end of the day, what it really was, Zane, was it was financial planning. People were basically trying to figure out, how am I going to spend 50 to, now it's $80,000 a year to go to school for my kids. When I went to school, it was a fraction of that, and we just paid ourselves or took a little debt out. Mom and dad didn't help much back then. So what we learned is that this was a crisis, a financial crisis, or I didn't plan enough. How do I handle this? So that's what got me into the financial industry. And like I said, my first designation was like, well, how do I help people financially plan for this? And then how do they do it without impacting their retirement? And what happens if they lose their, they pass away or became disabled, and then they couldn't work, and then their kids can't go to college? So it was really weird. I mean, when I went into it, I didn't think, oh, this is financial planning. I thought, oh, I'm doing college planning. But really what it was just a catalyst for people to look at their finances. So that was really where I sort of transitioned from soccer and college, helping kids go to college. I mean, I probably sent hundreds of kids to college, recruited them. I coached at Sonoma State, so I recruited kids into college, and so I had all the college experience. But then how do we pay for it? And then that led into financial services, because now it's financial planning. And one of the things we were doing was financial aid planning. And so it was like, well, where can you put money, and where can we have money where the financial aid system's not looking at it? Well, one of those places is cash value life insurance. So I started to learn a lot, and this again 15, 20 years ago, about cash value life insurance. And then so I was going to a couple different seminars, and my current business partner, Rick Bailey, who's the other partner in Camas Advice, was speaking in San Francisco. And at the time, he was working for a very large insurance company, and he was the advanced planner, so doing estate plan. And I'll never forget, I come into the seminar. This is when we used to go places, right? And we went in. I sat down in San Francisco. He starts talking about dynasty trusts, and he used so many acronyms that I had no idea what was. I thought I'm in another universe, which is funny because now those are all the things that I do. But so that brought me into opening my eyes to, man, there's a lot more to this life insurance planning, and how it was tied to business owners, and how it was tied to estate planning. And I met Rick, and he was a huge mentor for me. In the insurance industry, you can bring people in on cases. They come in and are part of the case. And he came in on probably every single case I ever did for the first 4 to 5 years of my career. Because that was important to me, because I wanted to do it right. And I knew that he was one of the best. He's written books. He's one of the smartest human beings I know. But yeah, so that's a long story of physical therapy, dropout, to soccer coach, to running a soccer business, to college planning, to partners with Rick Bailey, wealth strategists, doing advanced planning for large businesses or large estates, businesses, and high net worth individuals.
So let's take it back a couple of steps. How was that transition from coach to director? It would seem like there's a massive gap between what it is to be a coach versus what it is to look after coaches. And I know there's more to being a director than just looking after coaches, but there's a lot of
Sure.
that.
Yeah. No, yes and no. So let's talk about the no part. When you're a coach, you're in charge of 16 to 18 players, or when I was at Sonoma State, maybe you got 24 players, and they all have different personalities, and some of them you have to push, and some of them you have to pull back, and some of them you have to treat different than the others to get the most out of them, but you're all working as a team for a common goal, right, on the field. It's not a lot different in a lot of ways of a director, and I'm just doing that with adults. Now, the problem with that is kids seem to listen a lot better. Most of them, you know, but adults, you know, you have stronger personalities that have maybe developed through their own successes or think that they know something, you know, more than you. There's a little bit more resistance. There's money involved because now you got salaries and some other things. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely was different. Probably harder because of all the legalities of, you know, dealing in the world of money. And basically these are people's livelihoods. These guys are trying to, maybe they have another job and they're trying to coach soccer. So, leading kids to people, no different. But yeah, I mean, there were some challenges, you know, I think. And it was also early where like paid coaches in youth soccer was, I mean, it wasn't new, but it was newer. You know, now you go anywhere in competitive soccer and pretty much everybody is paid at this point, you know. But back then we were like, you know, clubs collecting fees, and like we were one of the first, you know, to be doing so.
Yeah, I mean, the difference of adults versus kids, right? You can't make those adults run a lap because they don't know.
Yeah, I know. And if you dock their pay, they don't like that very much either. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it's really crazy. But I feel like, yeah, it is more challenging to lead adults than kids, just because of that, you know, they have certain characteristics that have been weathered and ingrained in them. And so that's why, like in any business, right? I tell my business owners this now, like human capital and culture that you have is really important. And that's it. So I brought on coaches that I knew fit what I was trying to accomplish, that had the same, you know, ethics and morals and values and all those, and good work rate, you know, so it was important. But in all fairness, it was the same. You're just building a team, you know, no different than, hey, we have clients, you and I, right? And it's like, we're specialists in certain areas. We're building a team, right? That's what's really cool from my transfer from those days to this, is like, it's still just a team. You know?
Yeah, a lot of transferable skills, especially in that director role where you were running a business and now you're running a business, right? So
yeah, exactly.
And there's a lot of coaching in what you do as well. I mean, you are their financial coach in a lot of ways. And I know you talk about it a lot, being sort of the quarterback of a bigger team, right? You're not just bringing yourself in, you're bringing experts in along with to these high net worth individuals, because you can't do everything and you know that. And I feel like that's a strength that you must have developed from working in the coaching space.
Yeah, 100%. You know, coming from the coaching space, knowing that, you know, every person on the team matters. It's not just that. I mean, listen, we won a national championship in '02 at Sonoma State. I was the head assistant coach. We had the head coach, Marcus. We had 3 other assistant coaches, a goalkeeper coach. You know, we had a sports psychologist. Like, we don't succeed if any one of those people are missing, because it's every one of those pieces. And that's no different in the financial world. Is everyone, I mean, the accounting is important. The finance is important. The legal is important. The tax is important. HR is important. You know, all of it. It's all important. You can't say, and then anyone in our industries that say they can do all that, it's a joke. You better be specialized nowadays in some specific area.
Yeah, that's really good advice. So how did Camas Advice come about? I mean, you went and got some credentialing, you started with the whole college funding side, but at some point you had to join Camas, right? So how did that come about?
Yeah. So, like I mentioned, so Rick Bailey, who was I met him in San Francisco and he talked way over my head. He came in on a lot of my cases and he was working with another mentor of mine, Tom Webb. Tom Webb like helped develop back in the day, like whole life products, expert witness in insurance. So he had an agency called the Webb Agency, and Rick was his partner, sort of like I am with Rick now. And Rick was mentored by Tom. And so Tom's much older now. He's in his 80s. Stopped practicing a long time ago. But anyways, Rick bought out Tom and took over and named it Camas, and Camas Advice to be specific. We also have Camas Agency, which is a different part of the business. People ask, where did that come from? And was it from Washington? Is it from Idaho? It's literally the street that Rick Bailey grew up on, Camas. So there is no magic other than I need a name and then we give advice, and he liked the street he lived on, and he had already named it prior to me joining. But it is a unique enough name that people go, oh, Camas, what is that? But that's the story. It's his street.
So I've never ever thought like, where does it come from? And maybe that's my lack of American knowledge to like sort of do it. But it's always been one that's easily rememberable. Like, where does Josh Rick go? He works at Camas.
Yeah.
I know I should be saying Camas Advice, but the Camas part sticks.
Yeah, I agree.
It's easy for me to like recall. With my old age, I was still able to pull that name out of the hat.
Yeah, no, it's that's that simple. It's just the street he lived on. And so he took over the agency, which, we have 25 or so agents that work around. That's like any typical life insurance agency where they just are doing your sort of standard stuff. Some of them are a little more advanced, and that's called Camas Agency. I don't participate a lot in that other than some education to some of the agents on why I've been so successful. Rick and I are the two wealth strategists in Camas Advice, which is advisory, advice, and everything. But yeah, we have the agency allows us, and in the long history of Tom's success prior, allows us to have access to any product in the country and even outside of the country. So we're really unique. But the Camas Advice part, we joke, is the Navy SEALs. We only allow the best of the best to be in there that can work at a super high level. We haven't found another person that can be that yet. So currently it's just Rick and I, but we have a whole another side of agency that, isn't really that part of my roles.
Okay. Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, I guess the question I'm trying to ask here is, you started Camas Advice with a really smart partner, which is, great way to go. I always say find smart people around.
Yeah.
I know you're a hard worker. I mean, that shows from, I'm in the soccer world as well, and I know you need to be a hard worker to survive in that space, else you'll be flattened.
Yeah.
And how did you go about, like, you obviously came into this as a second career. You sort of came in from nowhere, but you become super successful. So how did that sort of happen? Like, how did you, go from soccer coach to wealth advisor? Like, I understand there's that little like stepping stone connection with, getting people college funding, but it seems like a very big gulf that you had to cover to get there.
Yeah, I would say a couple things. One, I'm a big believer in education, and I'll talk about like my mission and some of my goals in the education. But like you can see with the designations, like I studied. I wanted to learn everything under the sun that I could possibly learn. But I also had a lot of really good mentors. And I mean, if you're trying to go into any industry, and I don't care if you're first career, second career, fifth career, if you do not have mentors in today's world, you will fail. And I mean, it's probably the biggest advice I could give somebody is like align yourself with somebody that can pull you along, that you can turn to when things get tough, that have some experiences. And that's what I got with Rick. And then, the people in my office here that I mentioned, started with the college planning with Dan and Joe here. That is a huge part. And then, and then I worked hard. And I'm also not afraid to talk. Probably why you're having me on your podcast. But like, I don't care if you're worth 100 million, or you're worth $100. Maybe I want to help. I want to get to know you. I'm not afraid of people that have had a lot of success in their areas. I'm not afraid to be around those people or chat with them. I'm not afraid to be the dumbest person in the room, and I'm not afraid to be the smartest person in the room, like, and anything in between. So I think those things help me get where I am today. And the success came from, I had a gentleman, Evan O's. He worked for an insurance company, and he sat me down 15 years ago, right after I met Rick, and I'll never forget what he said. He said to me, he said, "Don't go around trying to eat other people's fruit." And I said, and then he paused, and then he says, "Plant your own trees. They will take a while to grow, and then you'll have all the fruit that you need." And I thought, okay, well, we're not doing farming here, Evan. Like, what are we getting after here? And he said, build relationships with CPAs, with attorneys, with financial specialists, and start to build relationships with other professionals so that they can start to understand what you are about as a person, your values, how you operate, and they will start to refer you business. So this is before, listen, I'm in Provisors, you and I are in Provisors, and we all know the slogan there, no lie, sure, trust. I should probably know it by heart now, but whatever it is, we're supposed to like each other, know each other really well, and then we're supposed to refer to each other, right? But that
Something
was,
like that.
yeah, something like that. So that was told to me a long time ago by somebody, and it really is true. So, and he told me, you're not going to see like numbers or revenue or anything like that. It's probably going to be 2 to 3 years. And I thought, whoa. Like, that's a long time. I mean, he was right. I remember when all of a sudden I started getting calls from people and, hey, can you come speak here? Oh, hey, can you do this? And it was, yeah, right around 2 to 3 years. So, I think my success is sort of had incredible mentors. I mean, I worked hard, education, and then I planted a lot of trees by getting out in the community and spending a lot of time building real relationships, not fake relationships, not just trying to know someone so that they send me a client one day. Like the people that send me clients, like, I know about their family. I know their kids. I know what they like to do. We have drinks together. Like, I know them well. So that's probably what allowed me to jump over this huge, canyon from soccer coach to working with high net worth individuals. So it's probably a long-winded answer, but
No, it's great. I mean, one little thing that you did a little hop over in the conversation, and you said, "Oh, I had you on because you like to talk." Well, that's part of it, but I think what you mentioned there is that you like to help people, and I think
yeah,
that's is something that people underestimate. On if you really want to be successful, you're not just chasing money. Money obviously will come eventually, but if you have a true goal and a true cause that you value, and you've dropped in the word help there, and education and helping people for me always sticks out with you, because I know I can ask you a question, you're willing to help out. If somebody else asks you a question,
yeah,
sure, you have a lot to say, but it's from a position of wanting to help.
yeah.
And I think that is a very important lesson for many people, that understand what your true value is. And it would sound like helping people is the true value in what you do.
Yeah, and I think that comes a little bit from my pedigree. Like, one of my greatest joys was when I coached was to see a player, you know, maybe it was my top player that then somehow got to go and train with the national level team, or maybe it was a player that I almost didn't select for my competitive team, and I saw them grow and I helped them grow to be like a really good player, or a team that wasn't that great and now we're, good. I've always just wanted to try to help people get from here to up here, or wherever they're trying to go. I mean, it doesn't have to even be up; it can be sideways, but or hopefully not down. But it's like whatever they want to do, and that's the same. It's true. Like, I really want to help people reach their goals. I think one of the things that is a mission of mine is education, because I think a lot of people don't know what they don't know. So you almost have to educate people on sort of what could happen or what they could be doing with their wealth in order to then share with them ways that they could be helped, But listen, I always joke when I speak, if you need $1 million term policy or you got $100 million estate, I'm here to help. And I genuinely mean that. Like, I want to try to help. I had a call from a client the other day, and he's actually a pretty good referral source. And he says to me, like, I know this isn't really for you and you're probably not going to make any money. But here's what I need. And I told the person, like, I never thought about the money. You need help. So let me try to help you. And yeah, I think this, Zane, like, you help enough people, you don't chase the money. It just seems to work out. That's how it's supposed to be. And it's funny because early in our career, it's almost like the opposite. Early in your career, it's like, I got to make money. I got to put food on the table. So you end up chasing the money early in people's career, especially if you're in anywhere where, you have to bring in more clients, or, your salary or your revenue or your commissions based on, anything like that. And you're chasing it, and you're probably missing or losing out on more because of the approach that people can smell it. I mean, listen, I was that way probably early in my career too. Like, you're trying to put food on the table. Yep. But when you come from a different place, it's just truly genuine. And I think people know that.
Yeah. And, you never know when those small ones turn into a big one. Sometimes you just think it's a small favor here, but that person's connected with somebody else. They appreciate that you help them out and give great advice, turns into something bigger. I mean, that's the joys of building a good network as well. And you touch on the point that you build real relationships. And, there's definitely, a lot of networking out there which sort of focus on, just network with people that will benefit you.
Yeah.
And, I always think of networking I network with people that can benefit my clients.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's just a slightly different take on getting to the same outcome. But I'm talking to the people that I know I can refer to my clients to make their lives better, not necessarily my life better. I mean, in the long term, it will, because if their life's better, my life's better. But, I'm looking for people that will help other people.
No, I love that you say that, because I have the same thing. Someone actually asked me about provisors. And like, oh, do you like it? How many referrals are you getting? And I said, honestly, I don't even know. I mean, I'm sure I got referrals. I mean, I've known a lot of these people already, but I didn't join provisors or any of my networking groups for me. Same thing, right? I need my clients taken care of. Like, who's really good at accounting? Who's really good at HR? What about employment law? I need to know who these people are, because my clients, who I'm in charge of taking care of, need those people, And I think that's it. And I think your point about you never know when the big one or the small one leads to a big one. I'll never forget when I first started college planning, somebody that was really successful said, well, you need an exit package. And I'm like, exit, but like those that you can't profit off of or can't do anything, like you give them something and you charge them, XYZ or 1, 2, 3. I never thought that was a good idea, even though that this successful person shared it with me. So I designed my own exit plan, a package. And so when I would sit in them with an hour and I say, hey, you're not really a good fit, it would be too expensive for you. Here, let me give you 30 minutes of free advice right here. Most people are really good people. So what do they say afterwards? Well, how do I pay you? Thank you so much. I'm sorry that we can't work together. I love that you gave me this advice. And I said, you know what you can do? Take a handful of my business cards on the way out and tell 5 people about me. That was my exit plan. That was my exit, my package. I mean, like, I was it. Like, I'm not going to charge you. I helped you. And now you're going to tell somebody else that I helped you. And maybe those people I just helped for free too. But eventually that leads to, abundance. I mean, I just truly believe that.
No, it's great advice. And, sometimes it might not pay the bills, but it makes you feel happy. And happiness is just as important as money. Though obviously we need the money to survive, but happiness is important.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, we've gone all over the board with so far. It's been great. But can you share with us, and I know it's probably a licorice all sorts on terms of what it is, but what does your normal day-to-day look like?
Yeah, different. So, and I'm gonna elaborate, of course, but basically my day-to-day is different every single day. And I love that. there's a couple things that happen every day. Right now in the winter and the rainy and the cold season, I get up in the morning and I take my 8th grader to school. My senior, he drives himself. So that I do every day. I'm religious about returning emails. So I correspond and respond to emails that come into me every single day. But other than that, my day could be filled with client meetings all day long and no breaks. It could be sitting and creating content, educational content through videos and writing articles. Of course, professional meetings and networking. The things that take precedent always will be delivering service and promises to my clients, and the same with the professionals that I work with. So my day on one day, Monday, random February Monday could be different than the random next Monday. I'm not one of those guys that listen, I have a schedule and you got to book to meet with me and all that stuff, but I don't have like, oh, Monday I do payroll and then at this day I do this time and I do production at this time and sales at this time and I make my phone calls at this time and I check my email at this time. I'm sort of all over the map in the Josh Sterling organized way. And I love it because every day is new and exciting and different, working with clients, professionals, and taking care of things.
How much of your time do you think you spend with clients?
Like face to face or working on their case?
Let's go face to face.
It will depend on where we are in the process. So like early on in the process where I'm getting to know them, trying to understand their goals, what does their business look like? How big is their estate? We're doing inventory on what they have, what they don't have. I mean, that could be 10, 20 hours just there, and then depending on the complexity of their case and what we're working on, I could be on another 10 to 20 hours with their professionals. So, but typically I try to keep my meetings with my clients to about an hour. And the reason for that is most of this time, the things that I'm talking about can become mind numbing or like drinking through a fire hose because it's typically advanced planning. There's a lot of tax and legal and strategy. And yeah, there's a few engineer minds that can stick with me for 90 minutes, but I got to be careful to not overdo it. So I typically won't have a meeting with a client for more than an hour at a time.
Okay. You've spoken about education multiple times so far through our conversation. Can you just share a little bit more of what sort of education you're putting out there or how you are achieving that goal of educating people?
Yeah. So when this sort of happened in early 2023, I realized that, even though I've been, pretty successful in my career, I'll talk to professionals and clients that literally have no idea some of the strategies and the way that, life insurance and other advanced planning ideas even work. So, and by the way, I want to make it clear, like the strategies with life insurance or even strategies without life insurance, they're not always a fit. But what I've noticed is they're not even being presented. They're not even being put on the table, because not a lot of people know about it. So my mission in education is about educating people on options that they may not know are there for business owners or high net worth individuals or estates, so that when they make decisions with their professional team, they have all the cards on the table. Because let's be honest, we're all in a niche. So if you talk to the attorney, they have how they think you should solve the problem. The tax professionals know how they should solve the problem. And the financial advisor, and in all fairness, a lot of times they're tied to how we get paid. So, which is fine. I'm okay with that. But let's just make sure all the cards are on the table. So I'm spending a lot of time making videos, writing articles, being on podcasts to share some of the things that that maybe aren't spoken about. I just talked to a tax firm and they were talking about doing split dollar for their buy-sell agreement. And so as we start to talk, I realized, well, maybe they don't quite know as much as they should about this whole process. So I said, hey, I've known you guys a long time. Let me take a look at it. comes about, that the things that they were doing weren't even really in the split dollar world. And there's a lot of opportunity for them to do what's a real split dollar. And I'm not going to get into the technical world of what split dollar is right now, but
Thank you. Maybe we'll talk offline because I have no
yeah,
idea
yeah.
what you're talking about.
Yeah. So, but my point is like people need to know that that's an option for funding their buy-sell agreement, keeping their key executives, anything like that. So I'm doing it to help people know their real options. And then I'm doing it in the way and delivery of content, LinkedIn, YouTube, video, Instagram, you name it. I'm just trying to get the word out there so that people understand what these options are.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And, we can only be thankful that there's people out like you out there that sort of putting good information out there, because we are in the world of TikTok where there's a lot of, let's put it as interesting advice being put out there, which
Yeah.
99% of it's not even true and not even real and probably put you in prison. So,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's good to know that there's good stuff out there.
I joke saying that the one cool thing about the internet is that you can find everything you need to know on the internet. But the one problem with the internet is you can find anything you need to know on the internet. And so the vetting process of what's real and what's not, and what might work for one person may not for the other person because of this one little detail that they forgot or purposely didn't mention in their TikTok video or something. So that's where it's like my mission to become a trusted subject matter expert that people go, oh, well, if Josh is talking about it, then it's got to be true, because everyone that talks about Josh says he's, knows what he's talking about. He's done great by his clients. Other professionals like him. So leading back to education, becoming the subject matter expert is very important to me.
Yeah, the vetting is so important. I saw a video not so long ago, and the person talked, and it was all true facts. But what they didn't mention in the video, that it was only legal in like 5 states.
Yeah, exactly.
And not the state where they had their fellowship, like they're following either. It's like,
Maine and yes.
Yeah, exactly. Great. Let's talk about sort of challenges reaching your current, success. You went from one career to the next career, and I know you've got like a 2.0 of the first career, started out again, but there had to have been some challenges along the way. It couldn't have just been sunshine and rainbows. So what were some of the challenges getting into the new career?
I think it was a challenge. It's less of a challenge, but I'm going to talk about it still being a challenge. And that's just narrowing or really realizing where you want to focus your energy, right? We only have so much time. So early in my career, for good or worse, I spent a lot of time in a lot of different places. Like, you go down these rabbit holes of this is what everyone needs to know. And this is what everyone needs to know. So the challenge was to be able to be a little bit more focused on like, who am I trying to serve? What am I trying to deliver? How do I want to deliver it? How do I become, a subject matter expert in that area and not want to chase the next great idea, and that's still, that happens today still. I'm just way more mature and understand, all right, I might dip my toe in that, but I can quickly make a decision. But early in my career, and then you add, it's not just focus in business. Early in your career, like you have young kids, so it's like also the focus of work and family and life balance too. Like, so it was like, just if you're chasing all these things in work, and then you also have a home life and you got young kids, and my kid drives, so that helped one of them. My other one doesn't, but I can leave them at home. They can make dinner for themselves. Like when you don't have that, then you have to do all this other, like, so the balancing, I guess, and just staying focused and allocating my time in the right areas was probably my biggest challenge. And I think it's the challenge people continually face in their careers.
Yeah, I look forward to the time where my kids can look after themselves at 6 and 8. I have to remind them to brush their teeth.
Yeah, I have times where I'm like, forget my kids are even home, because they're just like, they grabbed some lunch, they went in their room, they went in the gym and worked out, they went swimming, and I'm like, is Parker and Carson here? Oh yeah, they're upstairs in their room. Oh, okay, good. So yeah, it changes. I promise you.
I'm glad it changes, but every time I hear it changes, it makes me a little sad as well, because I do love them being dependent on me. That there's a lot of
Hey, soak it up, Zane. Like it go. I know you've probably heard this from 1,000 people. It goes fast. I have a kid that's leaving to college next year. I absolutely can't believe it. Like I still feel like he's the kid that I taught how to ride a bike, and now he's a grown man getting ready to go away. So yeah, soak it up. It's
Okay, let's talk about goals for the future. What are your short-term goals for in your personal life as well as your career?
Yeah, I mean, I sort of touched on one of them. I mean, the short-term goal is really to create education platform, subject matter expert, content. Like, I'm really big on that right now. I also touched upon the short-term goal of just continuing, the life or the work and family, balance. I'm coaching soccer now too, so I'm trying to still like make sure that I'm hitting all my marks that I need to with everyone. And then, like any business owner, I have revenue goals. I think every company should and does have that. I mean, those are private things that we don't share. But so I mean, yeah, I think, there's revenue goals, but my big one is the education. I mean, I just want to make sure that someone wants to learn about life insurance and advanced planning around life insurance. They're like, just go to Josh's YouTube channel, just go to Josh's LinkedIn, just call Josh, watch the podcast, whatever. I just want that to be what people in the North Bay think when they need answers in that field.
That's great. You shared a lot of good advice, a lot of advice on that you received from mentors in the past. But if I had to push you for one piece of advice for somebody that's just starting out in their career that could help them develop success, what would that be?
You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. I think early in my career, I was always so worried, like, well, what if they ask me this question and I don't know the answer? And what I realized later in life was it doesn't matter. Like you don't, if you shouldn't have all the answers. It's almost impossible in the world of finance to have all the answers in every part of the world. So I think for me, that's something I would tell people getting into the financial industry, regardless if it's insurance or managing money or financial planning or whatever, is like you don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. And on the flip side of that, if you feel like you're the smartest person in the room, you're probably in the wrong room because you're too comfortable. And if you're not feeling like a little bit hesitant early in your career about what you know and don't know, and I hope I can answer this, and I better go research this before the meeting or whatever, then you're too comfortable and you're not going to grow. And so for me, those would be the two things like, hey, don't worry if you don't know everything. But if you feel like you're just the smartest person and you already got it all figured out, you're probably too comfortable and you just haven't been exposed to everything yet. So get exposure.
Yeah, or way overconfident because,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, I've been doing this accounting thing for a while and I know I don't know a lot of the answers. And, something I try to teach my kids all the time. Like, I don't pretend to know the answer. I'll be like, I don't know it. Let's ask Alexa for the answer. She will probably be able to help us.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Now,
they know everything. Alexa and Google know everything. But yeah.
Yeah. I am trying to do some stuff now where they use paper books to research because I know that's probably a dying skill. But
yeah, I remember that, man. I used to use an encyclopedia, and we had them in the house, and go look up A and learn about airplanes or something. But yeah,
yeah, I think it's a skill we all need to know. But that's great advice. Let's talk a little bit about leadership, because knowing you, I know that you're a great leader. You've obviously fulfilled many leadership roles as a coach, as a director, running the business you have, as well as your sort of 2.0 career, taking up a coaching role again. Those are all positions of leadership. I mean, especially the ones working with kids, that's an even different world of leadership and takes a lot of responsibility. So what advice would you give to people to help them improve who they are as a leader?
Leadership. Probably be yourself, and that's sort of almost like coach talk or something that everyone says, oh, just be yourself. But it's really true. Like, I think like, for instance, for me, I mean, you've been around me for several years now. I like to crack jokes. I sort of dress down, I'm sarcastic and, but I feel like I'm smart. I don't try to be this book or some weird professional that everyone thinks that there should be. I'm just me. And I think when you're genuinely you, then those that follow you are following the real you. If you pretend to be someone, I'm like always prim and proper every time I do something. I mean, listen, we're not, swearing in front of our clients, but like, I'm just saying, like, it be who I, yeah. So, I mean, that's who you are. You're a good example, right? Like, I mean, I don't see you in suit. Like, you're Zane. And when I know Zane, I know who Zane is. He's also funny and sarcastic and will talk. He dresses down a little bit. So the people that are following us know who the real us is. And if you act like someone else in your business world and then you go home and you're something different, then why are people following not the real you? So you want people that want to follow you. Well, then be the real you, and then the other thing is, back to the help, take care of the people around you. Just take good care of people, help people learn, help people become better. Don't be threatened. There can be a lot of smart people in the room. If there's someone in your company or whatever role you're playing in leadership smarter than you, then don't try to put them down. Don't try to get them out of the way. Don't try to make them fail. Like, have them help you, pull you up. Leaders don't have to always be the smartest in every subject either. So I'd say be yourself and take care of the people around you.
Fantastic advice. Josh, can you share with us something about yourself in your personal life? Something that makes you interesting, something that makes you Josh?
I'm a sports freak. I mean, I love sports. I grew up in a sports family. I mean, I follow the NBA. I'm in like 9 fantasy football leagues. I love soccer. I follow many different soccer leagues. And then, of course, you already alluded to my 2.0. I think the unique thing is I work with some of the wealthiest people in our county, and I coach at Windsor High School. So that's not your everyday, job. I joke that it's not even a job. It's I'm just losing money. Because it takes a lot of my time. But I have to be honest, it's incredibly awesome for my soul. And I've been away from coaching for so long, building this career, to go back. And it was like riding a bike, and then I started to ride the bike. And then now it's like, man, I want to go 100 miles per hour. Like, this is so fun. And just seeing the kids react and we did values and how we're going to play and code of conduct. And it's just like, man, these kids, they just want to achieve. So they want it so bad. And it's been great. I mean, team won like 4 games last year, and we went undefeated in the preseason, and we're 8 wins and 3 ties, 3 losses. So like, the kids are, listen, it's not about the scoreboard. The boys, we all want to make the playoffs and everything. I'm just really, really proud how they, have reacted. So I guess, the thing about me is I'm a sports nut, love everything about sports. My family is very athletic and run, bike, workout, but soccer and coaching is something pretty cool.
Really awesome. As somebody who coaches a little bit of youth sport myself, I must say it's some of my favorite times in a week is the time I'm out there coaching the kids.
Yeah.
Very fulfilling. So very jealous of your two. Josh, it's our tradition to do some rapid fire questions. I have 5 questions for you.
Okay.
If you're ready, we'll go with them.
Ready.
Great. If you were on death row, what would your final meal be?
Sushi.
Any specific place, type, or just give me as much as possible?
As much as all you can eat sushi.
It's a great choice. Do you prefer to head off to the mountains or head off to the ocean on a vacation?
Oh, the beach. Grew up at Newport Beach. I'm in the water.
Great. What is a quality you appreciate most in a good friend?
Humor.
Do you have a favorite book that you would recommend to anybody to read?
No, my wife would make fun of me because she reads hundreds of books in a year. No, I wouldn't. I like podcasts and videos.
Josh is too busy reading textbooks for his education.
Yeah, exactly. The ones I reckon that no one wants to read.
Yeah, I went to a book exchange just in this month. The woman was like, "Can I give you the Tax Act?" I'm like, "No, I don't want your Tax Act." She's like, "That's all I read." I'm like, "Oh, okay, gracious."
I was
Yeah,
big on Cliff Notes in school.
they've got their place. If you were stuck on a deserted island, what 3 items would you bring along to survive?
A lighter, a knife, and can I bring food? I mean, that would be smart. That's probably not an item, right? An item. Okay, I'll go knife, lighter, and cook stove, like a camping cook stove.
Those are some good options. And with that, we end another Proteo Conversations. Thank you for joining us in the journey of learning and inspiration. Today, we've gained insight from our guests and taken another step towards understanding the diverse tapestry of leadership in business and accounting. Remember, each conversation is a step towards the positive transformation of business leaders. We hope our discussion has given you valuable takeaways to apply in your own career and life. Don't forget to subscribe to Proteo Conversations on YouTube and Spotify so you never miss an episode. We'd also love to hear your thoughts and experiences, so connect with me on social media channels. I'm most active on LinkedIn and would love you to join in the conversation. Join us next time for more engaging stories, advice, and conversations that matter. Until then, keep striving for excellence and embracing growth. Thank you for listening, be kind, and goodbye from Proteo Conversations.